2 games in a row now, you guys have given up over 300 yards passing. What do you guys need to do to kind of fix those woes?
Yeah, I think if you look back at the game from Saturday, I just cut them out. There's about 9 plays where you take those 9 away. You can't take them back. Get those fixed, and it's no magical answer. There's some technique issues we got to get fixed. There's some tackling issues we got to get fixed, and then we just can't have a lack of urgency once we start getting up on an opponent. We've got to keep that sense of urgency going, sense of urgency to get aligned, communicate, execute our techniques, and play football.
How tough was Jalen Royals to stop?
He's a good football player. There's no doubt about it. Fast, physical. He's a thick kid. He's hard to tackle. But once again, this ain't about who we're playing. This is about us getting us fixed first and foremost, and the rest will take care of itself.
Eric, when tackling becomes an issue, what do you notice Monday through Friday, and how do you fix it Monday through Friday?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about that, and it's getting to the point of the season where you can't. We've been hitting some live tackles in practice, but you can't tackle a ton just because of the wear and tear on bodies. So we spent some time yesterday talking about better ways to execute a simulated tackle and intentional finish in the team periods. We're going to try out a couple new things this week, see if it works. But I know this, when our team targets high, it's not successful. When we target low, it is very successful. So I think the overlying point of emphasis for this week is how do we get them to target low when we're not actually executing a full tackle.
The one interception through 5 games. I mean, for teams that are passing the ball as much as some of these teams are too, how rare is that, and how much, obvious answer, but how much would that help the passing defense numbers here if you guys can start getting some turnovers?
Yeah, obviously that'll help. And we've had a few missed ops, but I think the other part of that is the other teams are doing a pretty good job of having a plan to get the ball out quick. Obviously, we've been successful getting some pressure on quarterbacks, so they've been wanting to get the ball out quick. And, the quick throws, not where you get a ton of picks. Now, you can get them, certainly. That's not where you get a ton of them. It's more when those routes develop downfield. You can get some tips. You can get some overthrows. But we have had some missed ops out there, and those are the ones we have to take away.
But when you're getting as much pressure as you are on the quarterback, is there a little give and take there where I know you never want to give a big play, but are you more susceptible maybe to more one-on-one or more bigger plays in the passing game when you're getting more pressure and sacks as you are? Or?
Yeah, I think a little bit. There is a give and take. The ball's got to come out fast. But I don't think the plays that got us the past week for the explosive plays were directly related to pressure issues. Now, if you're bringing 6 and you're putting some guys in a complete one-on-one and those kind of things, like that's obviously an issue if you get picked up in protection. I just don't think that those were the things that hit us this past week. So it's on me to get those techniques cleaned up. It's on me to get those communication pieces cleaned up, and we will work very hard to get those cleaned up here starting today.
I feel like Ty's playing back there, and obviously you guys put him in a pretty big role this season. He plays more than pretty much anybody on your defense, and he's always had some really nice moments, and sometimes you forget that he turned 19 like 2 weeks ago and he's only in his second year of college.
Yeah, Ty, he's doing a great job. He's a leader for us as a young guy on defense. The thing about Ty is you can live with any mistakes that get made out there, but you can really live with his because he plays so hard and he'll cover him up with some effort. There's some things that obviously out there we got to get corrected with him all the time, partly being a young guy, some inexperience, and just some things that he's never seen before as the live bullets start flying. But, he plays so hard and he plays so aggressive. He's going to get things fixed, with effort.
He getting a chance to play in front of family and friends. What do you think this moment means for him?
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge for him. Braxton Philly's got a lot of family in Hawaii, so those guys going back home probably going to be big for them, but also big for their families that don't get over here to see them a lot. So I think just those guys going back to the island, obviously helping us with recruiting a little bit, getting some local guys back there, getting their families to the game. But I think it's going to be really cool, especially for Nohe to have his kids get to see him play in Hawaii and those kind of things.
A couple of years. Boise State's had a history of a lot of great players from Hawaii that have come here and made impacts. How I don't know, Friday night you guys get to go out and see some games or what, but what is it about that island and that state that it's got a lot of history here?
Yeah, I think just those guys on the island. It's when you're on the West Coast, you almost treat that, no matter where you're at, you almost treat that like an in-state recruiting area, because there is a lot of guys that want to get to the mainland for a little bit. Certainly a lot of guys that want to stay home and play at UH, but also a lot of guys that have lived there their whole life that want to see a different part of the world for a few years or a few seasons. So I think that, you go over there, it's a very small in mileage, but there's a lot of people and a lot of really good football players on Oahu. So I think it's a very fertile recruiting ground. And the great thing about it, I've recruited it a long time, is you don't have to spend an eternity there, because you can get around pretty quickly. So you can to do one state in 4 days or a week is pretty unheard of. But I think that's one state, if you're just on the island of Oahu, that you can get that done.
Without Sheldon, you guys get a little thin there on the inside, it kind of seems like. How do you guys kind of manage that? Was it nice to get Michael in there, once you guys got up for a little bit yesterday?
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to get a bunch of guys in when we got up. And obviously Michael Madry, he's coming along like we want him to. So he's going to get some more reps until Sheldon gets ready to go. But he did a good job when he got in the football game. Obviously, Mike Callahan's played a lot of football. So, without Sheldon, it's not exactly where you want to be, but we're going to be good. Next guy's got to get ready to roll. And then I think that was a good opportunity to get a lot of young guys some reps there in the second half on Saturday.
How much does that, test those guys? I mean, I know Brax played a lot here, and Herb and the guy, and obviously Michael, but how much does that kind of more test those guys and stuff with their staying on the field a little bit longer time?
Yeah, I think they're ready for that because of the way they train. I also think that I didn't say it, they've been telling the young guys since the beginning of camp, we're going to need one of you. Like, something's going to happen. You don't often go through a season and not get a D tackle a little banged up. 1 game, 2 games, a half, whatever it is. So they've been doing a good job of getting those guys ready. They coach them extra. When I'm not around, they really focus in on them in practice. When they're in, they really help those guys. So I think they're trying to build those guys up because they know, like, they can't play every rep, and they need those younger guys to step up.
You've asked a lot about the pass defense, and you're facing a top 40, passing offense on Saturday. What's this challenge like?
Yeah, obviously, run and shoot style offense. They've done it for a long time. They got a lot of coaches that have been in this system for a long time. I think the biggest thing when you're facing a group like this is, they're not going to stretch you as much as Utah State did, but I think this group does a really, really good job of adjusting routes based on coverage. So they can call a lot of their base plays, and it can look much, much different play in and play out depending on if you're playing cover 3 or cover 2 or quarters or man. So that challenges you. It challenges you in the breakdown a little bit just to see, like, what was that play really? Was that the same as the one before, or was that a new play? But I think their quarterback and their receivers are really on the same page with what's going to happen based on, I'm getting a cloud, I'm getting a bail corner, whatever the case may be. I think they're really good at that.
Your quarterback's been pretty accurate this year. What do you have to do to throw him off his game?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that, with every other quarterback. You're going to have to pressure him a little bit, and you're going to have to confuse him with some coverage. And like I said, the biggest thing we have to do is worry about us. We have to get our base techniques, our base fundamentals back to where they were, back to the beginning. And that, like I said, that's on me. I'm going to get that fixed. And we have to really communicate based on, because the Hawaii will give you some, I wouldn't say the formations, there's not a huge variation in formations, but there is a variation in the splits. So what tools and coverage do we want to play based on what splits are being shown?
With that pressure, you got a sack on the first game against Utah State, but then that was the only sack of the game. How much focus is that going to be to get more pressure consistently throughout?
Yeah, I think we will try to get a little more pressure. Once again, I thought Utah State did a really good job of getting that ball out quick. We did get a lot of hits on the quarterback. We just didn't get a bunch of sacks. So I think they had a really good plan to get that ball out of his hands.
Are any of the numbers skewed just because you're up so many points in games, and whether it's backups coming in or whether it's just other teams just trying to throw it every play because they're down by 30? Do you at all say maybe the numbers aren't as bad, or you're not playing as bad as the numbers look because of that? Or
Yeah, probably all the above, but that is what it is, and we got stuff to fix. So I mean, that certainly is a part of it, but there's also a part where that has nothing to do with it, and we got to get things fixed. So, I don't. You can make stats any way you want, right? Like you gave up 2 big run plays on the end of the half when you're in Hail Mary defense, and those still go in the run stats. But I can't do anything about it. All I know is we've got to get some things fixed, and we're going to get those fixed. And I'll let the stats. Like Patrick tries to give me the stats after every game. I tell him I know I was there. So.
Jeremiah Irby, last week you talked about getting Banks coming up. Is there a point now where maybe Banks is challenging to take Jeremiah Irby's spot as a starter?
Yeah, I think Banks right now, and Jeremiah's played really good football. Banks has to just be more consistent. I thought he played his best game as a Bronco on Saturday. He did some really nice things. I think he was in 49 snaps or something like that. So he's playing better on special teams. He's playing better on defense. And once that consistency grows, then we can talk about, do you take somebody's job or are you just in the rotation right now? But he's playing. His game has elevated quite a bit since week 1. I was really proud of what he did out there on Saturday.
It seemed like he did probably one of his better games. What's like the challenge there is trying to fit into a new program, I guess, like he's had to do, because you could see it from the beginning, but now like really starting to connect, I guess.
Yeah, I think he had some things working against him, coming into a new program, getting here a little bit later than everybody else, coming off of an injury at his previous school. So there's a lot of things to deal with. It wasn't just, hey, I'm getting to a new system, I got to learn that. There was a plethora of things that he was trying to work through. So I think he's done a really good job getting himself in position to where he's at, and I think he's just going to continue to get better.
I asked you about him Ed recently, I know, and you probably asked you about him every week, but just his level of consistency. Like, where do you think he's at with that? I mean, like, he had 9 straight games with a sack at one point in time last year. He's on a nice little run again this year. Like, he did, I feel like he played fine on Saturday too. But like, where's his level of consistency at?
Yeah, I think he's super consistent. He plays hard. Rarely is it, what was he doing on that one? Like he does his job. He executes his techniques. He plays at a really, really high level. He plays at maximum effort, and good things are going to happen for him, and they're going to continue to happen to him at Boise State, and they're going to continue to happen for him in the National Football League when he gets a shot there too. He's just a really consistent player.
Anything else?
Thanks, gents.
All right, thank you.